the link in the description of the project file which I'll be using today. So please download it now before you go any further. And if you don't wish to download it, you can also still watch along or use any images you found on Google. There'll be enough time for you to download this file without pausing the video. I will no doubt 100% still be talking. If you're watching this video, then I assume that you've seen episode 1. I hope you enjoyed it and learned some new skills. If you haven't seen the first video, please take the time to view it so you have the knowledge to proceed in this video. Part 1 was a general beginner's breakdown of Photoshop. I hope this video is a little bit more enjoyable and a little bit more practical. When you open the project file, it should look something like this. You got your layers on the right hand side and everything else in the composition. What we can do for the layers is if we right click, we can choose a colour. So for instance, with the trainer, I'll make that grey. The ring, I can make that orange. Thumbs up, I'll make that red. The plate, I'll make that one green. And the cloud, I'll make that blue. I always found it a little nice tip. Reason being is you can always navigate and see things a lot clearer when you're using it. We're going to zoom in, Command or Control plus, locate over here, or if you click Command and 0 to go full screen again. A little tip is if you click Option and click the layer thumbnail, whatever layer thumbnail you click, it will zoom in to that object. So if I click plate while holding Option, there we go. Same with the ring, same with the cloud, same with the trainer. So now we've got the cloud. The first option we'll look at is the lasso tool. Click the lasso, ensure that you're on the selected one here, and then all we have to do is manually draw around the object. As you can see, I'm actually trying to make that really close, and it's a bit challenging for me personally. You might find it a little bit easier, but it's not the best in my opinion. So for instance, I'm going to do it a bit quicker just for the demonstration. So once you've got that selected, you can either click Command, Control and invert, and then click backspace to delete it. Another way, if you click and hold the lasso icon, you can go to the magnetic lasso. So if you click one point and slowly drag around, what this tool allows you to do is magnetically clip to the contrasting edges. It's a lot cleaner than the lasso, so we'll just keep doing that. Certain areas may clip, so in certain areas like the corners, if you know it's gonna miss a few pixels where you're joining, you can just click. So for instance, if you know the next corner might be a little bit tricky,
a few moments later,
it's just click and we'll put a point in. So I'm going to do this very quickly for the demonstration once again.
A few moments later.
Whenever you're making a selection and you're happy that it's finished, all you need to do is wait for a little circle to appear and then click. The right hand side, ensure you've got your cloud layer selected, and then down here you've got a layer mask. If you click that, it will select it and it'll put it into a mask. You'll notice that the layer is still existent on the left and the right is the mask. The best way for me to explain what a clip mask is if you ever fog up a window in a car or in a window in the house and you rub your finger against the window, you reveal whatever's below it. So think of it that way, where the black is the fog and the white is you being able to see through it. So for instance, black, if you click the brush, when you've got the clip and mask selected on the right hand side of the layer, I'm just going to change the brush size a bit lower again. I'll choose the brackets. There we go. So white will reveal. So the way it was a light blue around the edges, if we just click and drag, it will show that. In order to remove, you can just click this arrow, or you can just choose the black and the swatch. But my preferred method is click an X. Saves you doing extra clicks. That gets the it's just faster, just easier. So we go black, and then we can remove some of the edges. And then to bring it back, we can click X. So the brush is white, and bring it back. I'm going to Command and Z to undo some of that. So we're back at this original state. So now if I zoom in again, ensure the brush is a little bit smaller so I've got more control. That works for me. Bump the hardness up slightly, or we can just choose a different brush. But I like to just stay on the original and just change the hardness. Make the brush a little bit smaller again, and don't forget, white brings back, click X, and then you'll be working with the black down the bottom there. Click Escape to get away from that window, and then we can just colour out the edges and hide it. But once again, other techniques I'll be showing you in a minute will skip all these steps. These are just extra corners which I'm covering, just so you never know we'll need them. If we Command and Z or Control if you're on Windows until we get back to our original state, like this. Another method is the Magic Wand tool. I briefly touched on this, so if we just click the light blue edges, it'll select the whole thing. The reason being is your tolerance is too high. Tolerance is how sensitive it is and how it will pick up the edges. So if we drop that down to something simple, like 2, and then click, it will then only choose the contrasting edges. So then if we click backspace, click Command and D or Control and D to deselect, you've then deleted the background. But you can never ever get that background back. It might sound mad, but you never know. If you work in a format where you can always revert to the original state, you've always got more control. So if somebody comes back and goes, right, I want that background but I want it blue, I want it red, you can then simply just go in, choose red, click your brush by clicking B, ensuring your brush is a nice size, and then just paint it in red. Click save, your job's done. So from this state, another way we can do it is a new feature which is in Photoshop 2020. We click the Magic Wand tool again. Up here, we have the select subject option. If we click that once, it will automatically, based on the information on the layer, select the subject. From there, we can either Command or Control Shift and I to invert the selection. What that means is if I zoom out, deselect if I do that again. So we want to select this cloud, but the whole layer is the full canvas. So if we just make it a little bit more zoomed in, just pay attention to the dark grey bounding edge of the canvas. So if we click select subject, it will select this cloud, which we want. But if we click delete, it'll delete the cloud, and that's not what we want. So Command or Control Z to undo. And then we need to invert it, so we don't want that part, we want everything but that part. What we can do is we can go to select, and we can go to inverse. So see the way the little flashing lines are around the edges. So now if you click delete, and then click Command and D, your layer is just that cloud with no background. Command and Z to undo, Command and Z to undo to delete, and Command and D to deselect. Sorry for all these shortcuts, it will help in the future, I promise. What we can do now is select subject, and then we can clip and mask. Another way is we can go into the eraser tool, we can choose a brush, and then we can manually, and it's probably not the most rewarding, ensuring that your opacity and your flow is at 100%, is go in and rub it all out. But then when you get to the corner, it's an extra issue because you've still left some pixels. So then you have to zoom in again, make your brush smaller, and tidy it up. Some jobs you will have to come in with the eraser, but for most jobs you can use different techniques and it'll give you a way better result in a fraction of the time. The next technique will be the pen tool. If you click the pen tool, or click P on the keyboard, this is a very, very bizarre tool to use. It is basically a custom shape layer. What we'll be doing is we'll be cutting out this cloud. The best thing to do, to start at one of these points, click the next point, and then drag. You'll see that it's not exactly perfect and it doesn't fit that. Then what we can do is Command and Z, so our first point is still there, and in the middle of that shape, we can click and we can drag. And when we're happy with that selection, release. Same again. And the way it overlaps slightly and it wasn't exactly perfect, we can click Option on the keyboard and it will change to a V. And what that will do is the left point, it will give us complete free control of that. So we can go in there and just tidy it up. So I'm happy with that. I'll release that. We've gone over a little bit, so if you want to move that point up a little bit, you can hit Command, or you can click Control, click and drag, and then drag it up and release. This point, if you were going to make it here again, you can click and drag. Once again, click and drag, and you'll see it go a little bit ski with. In order for you to see what's below it, there's two options here. There's fill and opacity. I'll cover fill a little bit later on, but all we need to do for now is just drop the opacity a little bit. Look back on the layer, ensure that we're still all activated here, and then click option, find the anchor point, and drag in. Once again, if I bring that back through, do another line. A weird thing about the pen tool, which we'll cover a little bit later on in this lesson, is sometimes it's very unpredictable. So if you click and drag, what it'll do is you'll see this form. What that is it's not letting the continuous line break. It's keeping it nice and smooth and ensuring that everything's clean and functional. So we can always click option, drag that in, or a point which not many people know is if you click option and just click that, it will only have one anchor point. So then if you click and drag, it's a brand new line. It's like starting from fresh. So if I fast forward and do this,
346 minutes later.
so once complete, bring the opacity right the way back up again to 100. The next one is the plate. So you can see it's overlapping here. So what I'll do is I'll just hide the ring for now. We'll come back to that later. We'll click the plate. And all we'll do now, you can see it's not perfect by the way it's being cut out in the image which I've located. We'll click P. We'll zoom in. And once again, we'll use the pen tool. So we can try the techniques, but personally I'd just instantly jump for the pen tool because the beauty of the pen tool, you've always got full control. You can choose exactly which pixels you choose and which ones you wish to cut out. See, that's too far out, so what we can do is drop the fill or the opacity. You can even drop it to 0%, just so then all you see is the actual line you're working with, which is the path line. Click option, and tuck that in. Looks good to me. So I'm going to just go around there, make sure everything's nice and clean. You see the way it's going out here. Another thing you can do, you can zoom in. And if you hover over the path itself, you'll see a plus icon. If you click, what you can do is if you click Command or Control, it turns into a cursor and you can freely move the anchor point of the path. So you can perfectly align it. And if you want to tuck that a little bit in, you can zoom in. You can click Control. No, you can click Option, sorry. And then just tuck that a little bit in. Zoom out. And then continue on your way. The pen tool is a fantastic tool. It's something at first which is really hard to master. I wouldn't say master, but just get to grips with, because it's slightly unpredictable. But as soon as you get to grips with it, everything regarding cutting out objects, making custom shapes, doing certain custom text, everything is just a breeze. So if you only wanted to select this shape and you've got the shape layer on top and the plate below, what you can do is you can click Command or Control, hover over the layer thumbnail and click. That'll make a selection, and then ensure that you click on the plate layer, because if you click that layer, if you mask it, it won't do nothing. So let's hide that layer, and then on the plate layer, click mask. If you click the plate layer, you'll see that it's set to multiply. Let's change that to normal. Now if we double click the grey area on the plate layer, you'll see this box. This is the layer styles box. I think I touched on it last time, just ever so slightly, but I'll go a little bit more in depth now. Color overlay is probably the most used in my opinion for what I do, as you can quickly change the colors of an object. So if I want to make that plate bright green, obviously it's made the shape bright green, but if I change it to multiply, you'll see the detail come back. Gradients is another brilliant one. You click that, you click this gradients here and choose anything here. I'm going to go for the black and white. I'm going to make sure that it's selected. I'm going to click reverse to ensure that it's going upwards. You can change the scale, so how tight the gradient is. You can also set a blending mode on that, so where it's normal you can click multiply and it will layer on top of the color plate. you can add a pattern. I'm going to choose a pattern. I'm going to click this pattern box. I'm going to choose them dots. And because once again it's lost that detail, if you set that to multiply again, you've now got a dotted gradient looking plate. You can reduce the opacity to make it a little bit more clearer. You've got some outer glow, which can also be doubled up as a drop shadow. It's hard to see because it's white, so if I just put that to normal for now, and then instead of choosing a gradient, I'm going to show that I'll click this. I'm going to make a glow red, simply like that. It's not the prettiest thing, it's just trying to show you ways to use layer styles. I'm going to untick that. I'm going to click drop shadow. I'm going to move the distance, move the size, reduce the opacity slightly. And you basically got a spotty green dotted weird shape plate thing. But yeah, let's hide that. Move on to the next one, which will be the ring. You'll see that the ring is below the trainer. So if we click hold and drag it up and bring it above, that'll fix that issue. What we can do is for this, the pen tool will work perfectly fine, but you'll see that it's got a hole in the center. So if I quickly show you how to get rid of that, you can click the pen tool. You can zoom in. I'm just gonna quickly pen tool it.
2 very boring minutes later.
Once you got the first shape, what you can do then is you can create another shape on top of it, as if nothing's happened. So I'm just going to continue to do so. So now you have two shapes. You've got the below one. Because I've moved the opacity, it looks a little bit fainter. So if I just bring it right back up, you'll see it's two shapes on top of each other, but you can't identify besides them. So with the bottom one, you can click Command or Control and click the ring, and then mask it. So if you hide the shape layers now, you see this ring is being cut out. So now with this layer, basically the part your finger goes through, you click Control or Command and click that bit. You'll see it selects the inside. You can click the mask of the layer, click the brush, ensure you're on black. Make sure your brush is a nice size, and then you can rub that out. So now if you zoom out, you click V or move, and you drag it, completely cuts out the background. So I'm going to bring the ring over here by the hand. I'm going to click V, I'm going to slightly rotate it. I'm going to try and match it to the finger, so I'm going to click Option, so it drags and scales from within the center point, which is around about here. So if I just click and drag, it'll drag down. Command and Z. If I hold Option and now drag, it'll drag from the center, which is perfect and what we want. Command or Control and plus to zoom in. I'm going to place it on this finger. Click Option, drag in, scale it up a little bit, rotate it, get a feel to where you see it fits. That looks good to me. Click Enter or click the tick. So, another way you can use a clipper mask is to hide things to make it look like it's appearing on something, or to make it look behind or in front. So, with the ring layer selected, maybe click the clipper mask and zoom in. Click B for brush. Zoom. Click the square bracket left to ensure that it's going smaller. Ensure you're on black, or click D to always make sure you're on white and then black. Click X to make it black, so swap it round, and then we can paint. You can slowly paint it away. You can use the pen tool, but in times like this, I don't think it's really necessary. So now, there's a few things you can do. If you make a new layer on top of this, what we'll do now is with the brush selected, I'm going to make some shadows. So, I'm going to click Option while on the brush and choose this colour, because this is the darkest point on the actual image. I'm going to paint a few times here, and a few times on the bottom where the shadow would appear, and then where this layer is, I'm going to right click and then create clip mask. So you can see it's kind of made some shadows. Looks okay, not perfect, but we'll fix that. To make it look more realistic, what we can do is with the ring layer, ensure that we've got it clicked, click Ctrl and J to duplicate it. So now it's done a little bit of a funny thing here where the shadow layer is on top. I'm going to double click the layer 1 and click and type shadow. So this is the original one, so I'm going to rename that to ring. I'm going to make that orange so we don't get confused. And I'm going to call that ring shadow. You don't have to rename it, I just think it makes sense. Because when you've got 45 layers and you don't know which is the ring shadow, you've got to click through them all and then play lucky dip until you find it. With the ring shadow, what we'll do is we'll click V and we'll see that there's 2 duplicate rings. So I'm going to make this a shadow, so I'm going to slightly bring it out like that. I'm going to double click it. I'm going to go color overlay. I'm going to choose that brown, but I'm going to make it a little tad darker. Click OK. Keep it normal. I don't want to affect anything. I just want to make it the solid color. You can click it all and paint bucket it, but for me it's not the preferred method. Go to filter, go to blur, go to Gaussian blur, and we'll just, with it previewed, ensure you've got preview clicked. With it previewed, you'll just see it looks good. For me, that looks okay. Zoomed out. Zoomed out, it looks, it's not right. You can see it needs still some final tweaks. So I'll zoom in. With the ring shadow selected, I can ensure that it's on color burn, the opacity. So if you drop that, you'll see it slightly moves it and it hides the harshness of the edges. With the distance, what I can do is I can drop that to something like 4. And where the angle is, I can change that, because if the light's coming from this way, if I match that, you'll see that it rims the edge of it. So where it's set to normal and it's set to black, I can change that to white. I can change that to an overlay, and you'll see how it affects the pixels. So if I zoom right in, and I've had that to normal, it's a normal fashion. If I have it to overlay, it'll just slowly glow the edges. If I change it to vivid light, it'll be a harsher version. If I change it to difference, it'll be the difference of the pixels, so it'll actually make it black. Pin light, and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to change it to overlay. Change it to overlay, and just reduce the opacity so it's not so harsh. Something like that. So if you zoom out a little tab, you can click the eye, you can see the difference. So if I zoom out again, you can't really see it. You can't really see the detail, so if I click it on, it just lightens it a little bit, which I think works quite nice. I'll zoom in, and you can see that this shadow is way too dark. You can even layer mask a clipped layer, so because we've got the shadows on one layer, and the bottom one and the top one's too sharp, you can either reduce the opacity, or if you wanted to reduce the actual visibility of the bottom part, you can click the layer mask, click the brush tool, and then change the opacity to the brush. I'm going to change that to 30, so I'll click 3 on the keypad. I'm going to just click once, and it reduces it slightly. There's a couple of imperfections, but we'll cover them at a later date. To make this a little bit more tidy, what I'm going to do, I'm going to click the shape layer, I'm going to click and hold shift, I'm going to hover down to the bottom of the ring layer, the ring shadow, so the all select. Another way is shape, click command, and click them all individual. Beauty of that is you can actually miss layers and choose individual ones, or click the opposite ones and it'll deselect them. Click command or Ctrl and G and it'll group it. You can then change that to thumb, and then you can just have it all nicely tied up in there, but it's missed the actual image. That's my fault. So that's the ring. So instead of changing that to ring, I can just drag the thumb up and put it within that. You can see that it's slightly indents. That's just a visual representation of showing you that it's in the group. So a little real-time error is just proved the way to show you that it works. Next is the trainer. So if you click option and click that, it'll fit it nicely on the screen. You can see that the trainer is back to front. I know that. I've done that for a reason. You click the patch tool and zoom in. Ensure you've got content aware selected, and you've got structure to 1 and colour to 5. I want to drag and draw it around the main light tick. Ensure that you've got a couple of pixels either side of it. Drag up slightly and release. It'll buffer like that. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. And then click Command or Ctrl and D. If I explain what the content aware does, if I make a selection and I drag, it will bring whatever I drag it to here. So if I click Command and Z to undo, Command and D to deselect. If I change that to normal, and with this selection, if I click destination, watch what happens now. It removes whatever pixels you've selected and it moves into your new place. So if I wanted another one of them breathing meshes here, I can simply make a selection, I can drag and I can drop. Command and D to deselect, and you can zoom out. Make a selection of this, zoom out. Always look around, see if there's anything you can match it to. So if you drag it here, will that work? Let's see. Just like that. See how quick it can actually be effective. So for me, it's okay. Magic wand tool and select subject, and it'll choose that perfectly, but it's got the shadow. So what we can do is deselect, duplicate it, Command and J, or right click and then just simply duplicate it, which is there. Click OK and hide the bottom one. And you can have the pen tooler, you can lasso it, you can delete it, you can brush tool it. But what I'll do is I'll show you a different way. I'll do the select subject. Then when it's selected, I'll click clip and mask, and you can see the shadow is still there. So now, pen tool. Okay, click over here where there's no pixels, drag through. So the reason why I've done that is to get a bit of a mad shape is because it'll select anything which is within here, so there'll be no overspill. So now if I click Command or Control and click the thumbnail of the new shape, hide it, go onto the layer mask, click B to brush, ensure we're selected on black, click OK, or click D to default and then X to flick it between the white and the black, and then simply, see the way it's done that, it's caused me opacity, so we go to opacity, scroll up, or once again, 1 is 10, 2 is 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 0 is 100. Command and 5 is flow, Command and 1 is 10% on flow, and Command and 0 is 100% on flow. So when they're both set to 100, you can simply erase, but we're not erasing, we're masking. So if we right click and disable it, it'll bring it all back. So I'm going to enable it once again. Now what we can do is make a new layer below it. Click B for brush, right click, you see this. Nobody uses this, and I'll tell you the fantastic thing to do with it. You see that there's two little angle edges. If you click and drag, look at the brush. If you click, you'll see what it's just done. If you make it back the way it was, you see what it's done. The arrow, what that does is watch the brush tip. If you bring that down, if you once again hold shift, it will snap to the edges. So it looks the same, bring it to the top. Let's change the hold direction. Make the brush bigger with the square bracket. With a new layer selected, you can click twice and you can see what it's done. It's made a nice shadow looking layer. So if we drag that below, you can see it's a bit too big. So if you bring that in, holding option and holding shift as well to ensure it's out of proportion, it starts to go a little bit funny. The reason being is the brush is too soft. So Command, Ctrl and Z to undo. And we'll do that again. Or just delete the layer. Go down to there, click OK to delete. Make a new layer, click brush, bring the hardness up to something like 60. So now if you click, it's a lot harsher. It's exactly what you want. The angle's wrong, so if you just hover over, you'll see that the angle is way off. So I'm going to make the angle a little bit more sharper. I'm going to click. That works for me. If I group these by clicking the top layer, holding shift and clicking the bottom layer, Command Ctrl and G to group, or you can go to layer and you can go to new, you can go to group, click OK. What you can then do is within this group is you can drag and it'll go blue, but once again that's why I'm teaching you keyboard shortcuts. These extra clicks, it's just not necessary, it's not needed. So Command and Z to undo, select the two layers, Command or Ctrl and G, you've got your new group. But lastly, something I didn't cover in the previous one is how to save an image. Say if you wanted this, just save as it is, as a JPEG. You can go to File, you can go to Save, and you can go to PNG or JPEG, and simply rename it and click Save. If you wanted to open it up again at a later date, make it a Photoshop document, which is known as a PSD. What you can do with a portable networks graphic, a PNG, is if you hide the bottom layer, you'll see these boxes. This is basically letting you know that it's transparent. So if we hide the original layer, click the group layer, bring it to the center. What we can do is we can either crop it, as we discussed, or because we've got a shadow, we don't know where them pixels start and end, so I'm not going to do that. It's a bit of a Russian roulette, and you want to be always certain. You want to, like I said, always be in control. So we'll go to image, I'm going to go to trim. You'll notice that trim is below crop because it's a subcategory of crop. If you click that, top left corner, top left. So it's what it's saying. It's going to trim from all the different sides to make it all even. So we click OK. And it'll basically perfectly computerized make it cropped. So now if you click File, click Save, Save As, Photoshop, go PNG. I'm going to call this shoe. Ensure everything's okay. Click Save. Large file size, medium or small. I'm going to go for large, faster saving. It's called shoe.png. Locate it, click it, you see it's got no background. You see the way there's a little frayed edge here around the edge of the actual shoe. That's something which we can do next lesson, which is called refining the mask. We've lost some edges here, we'll bring them back and you'll see how to cut out hair and how to make things look realistic. Thank you for tuning in. Hope to see you next time.